Hello, my name is Gilad Berenstein, and I'm honored to present my 5th annual Virtuoso Travel Technology Summit keynote for our 5th and largest Virtuoso Travel Tech Summit. At this year's summit, we will focus on the Great Commoditization of AI and this era of artificial intelligence where anyone can build, iterate, and innovate, or at least anyone willing to learn something new can do all of those things, because that's the whole point of the Great Commoditization. We will dive into the professionalization and digital sophistication of our advisors, agencies, and partners, and how this level of sophistication is enabling innovation, not just at the digital arena, but also across the business model side as well. We'll dive into the golden era of small and medium business and why I'm so excited for our network. And of course, we'll spend a lot of time focusing on why for travel, the best is yet to come. So let's jump in. As always, we have a packed agenda. Our tech summit will begin at 10 a.m. sharp on Sunday morning in the Bellagio Ballroom. After a quick welcome, we'll begin with the Tech Summit Game Show, an opportunity for everyone in the room to share their views on some of the themes and trends I'll be talking about in this keynote, and for us to learn the views of some experts who will join me on stage. From there, we'll have our opening keynote from the brilliant Jeanette Rausch. We will focus on innovation models. We'll hear exciting updates from Virtuoso and the technology they've been building, and we'll see a whole group of case studies, startups, and big ideas coming from all across the network to help us imagine where AI is going and how this new era of technology can support the growth and maturation of all of our businesses. After that, we'll have lunch together and participate in some roundtable discussions. And after that, we will open the first ever Virtuoso Tech Marketplace, which is another exciting element I can't wait to share with all of you in Las Vegas. Each year, I have begun my keynote by taking a look back. And if you want the detailed history of technology evolution across our sector, I encourage you to go find one of those keynotes on YouTube and to give that a watch. But all I will say today is our industry was a technology innovator and early adopter, and a lot changed over the last 30 years. And the reason I'm so excited and optimistic right now is because if we play our cards right, we have the opportunity to use the great commoditization of AI to leapfrog past mistakes and to leapfrog peer industries and to find ourselves again as technology innovators amongst industries. There are many ways to think about the state of the travel technology ecosystem. And as we have the past few years, we'll begin by looking at funding as one way to think about the health of the sector. Over the past year, we've seen roughly $4.5 billion invested in the travel technology ecosystem through roughly 200 investments, 200 deals. This is a bit slower than the past few years. You can see the deal count on the right of your screen, but that also means that the deals are getting bigger. And bigger deals means that technology is getting more mature, which may be good news for all of us who want to be consumers of these technologies. And as we spoke about over the last few years, one really positive development is we have seen the dollars invested in travel technology spread across the world. Where 10 or 15 years ago, the United States would have had a lion's share, a vast majority of the funding happening domestically, we're now seeing that Europe is close behind and the rest of the world is really picking up steam as well. When examining what has been funded over the past year, there's kind of 4 macro stories that emerge. First, our B2B operating systems, which is a topic we've been speaking about since the very first tech summit in 2021. The idea that operating systems were coming up and these operating systems would eventually enable the connected trip infrastructure we all dream of. Another investable story is AI workflows. These are the low-hanging fruit. This is the automation that every business, not just businesses in our sector, need to be focused on and where a lot of initial ROI will be found. The third investable category is the travelization of finance and the financialization of travel, which is another theme we've been speaking about since the very first tech summit 5 years ago. And lastly, experiences and supply have been getting a lot of attention, and this makes perfect sense. These are the things that AI cannot simply replace or optimize. Lastly, I've shared this graphic with you over the last couple of years, and I want to thank my friends at AGC Partners for letting me use it. As you'll notice, there's a lot of information here about returns and investment amounts and kind of the capital markets view on these various sectors within the ecosystem. But this year, I really want to focus your attention on one macro change. SaaS is now trading at a discount lower than OTAs and operators. If you look at this yellow box in the bottom left of the screen, you will see a major shift from the numbers I shared the last few years. It used to be that SaaS got the highest profitability multipliers compared to all the other categories in our economy, which is why investors were so excited to invest in SaaS companies. But if you look over the past few months, we have seen that both lodging providers as well as the global OTA and distribution players have actually been getting a higher earnings multiple than those SaaS companies, showing a major shift in investors' perspective on what is happening in our ecosystem and where profits and revenues will come in the future. Beyond the funding, headlines are also a good snapshot as to how folks are thinking about innovation in our space. And as you can see, there's been a lot of conversation about AI and the travel hospitality ecosystem. We've heard that travel planning is moving from the search box to the conversation or the answers box. We've seen AI discoverability become the new SEO battleground. And we've seen hotels move from chatbots to real operational use cases and so much more. There's so much to be excited about, which is why I'm so grateful that we'll all be together very soon in Las Vegas. I asked my friends at Claude to summarize all these headlines I've been keeping track of over the past years into 4 or 5 macro themes that would help us understand the state of the travel technology ecosystem. The first is that travelers are moving from search boxes to answer boxes. It's important to remember that travelers are omnipresent when they plan and when they search, and thus you must be too. If your information is not in an AI search, when they ask for a great hotel on the beach or a great place with the families or the best travel agency for their next trip, your company will not be recommended if you're not present within these omnipresent channels the customers are utilizing. Agents arrived, but checkout still belongs to traditional travel providers. Disruption risk has moved upwards, meaning the top of the funnel discovery is being innovated all over the place, and there's a lot of disruption happening at the top of the funnel. But inventory access and fulfillment still matters a lot, which is very good news for all of us. The third headline is all about optimizing for humans and for machines. Travel brands started optimizing for both machines and people, not just the humans themselves. And it's important to remember that if the model cannot read and know all about your offering, the traveler may never discover you. So for example, if you've done the hard work at your hotel or on your cruise ship of building adjoining rooms or family suites or things that would make it appealing and really wonderful for people coming with kids, but that information is not exposed to your advisor partners, to the AI and all the intelligences that people are using, that information will not be conveyed to the traveler and your hotel or cruise will simply not be recommended. It is critical that not just the travelers coming to your site, but the advisors, the AIs, and everyone else using your information has access to all these things, so increasing your chance of being discovered. Next, we read all about hotels moving AI from demo to prime time. At hotels, the biggest AI story is not about customer service or chatbots, but about operational excellence, which matters a lot to discerning consumers, as well as optimization and margin, which is a big deal for operators and owners. And finally, human service has received an AI exoskeleton. All of us within Virtuoso and across the industry are using incredible capabilities to supercharge our ability to spend more time on human connection and creativity and those things that add the maximum value to our industry. So remember, the premium experiencing is both high touch as well as high speed in the future. Okay, we're done with the headlines. Before we jump into this year's themes, a really quick look back. We're 3.5 years into the Great Commoditization of AI, and a lot has happened. In 23, so many companies across the economy and world launched subpar AI solutions, and we learned that creating great products is still harder than it seemed and requires real industry knowledge to succeed. Last year in 2025, we saw OpenAI and others say that they were going to become the merchants of records and really take over the transactions within our industry, and then they backed out. We learned that service, access to inventory, and real domain expertise still matter a lot. And this year, we're seeing AI move from the experimental stage to mission critical for businesses all over our sector. The lesson is those who don't adapt and adopt will get left behind. So with that, let's look forward. These are last year's themes. As you remember, smarter, more connected systems, the connected trip, and the rise of the operating system that we've been talking about for years. New monetization models that continue to mature. And then, of course, the full arrival of AI. Now, without further ado, the 2026 themes and trends in travel technology that I'm paying attention to. Those are Agentic AI and the shift from generative AI that can communicate to Agentic AI that can act. The emergence of new models of innovation. This is something I'm incredibly excited about and have learned so much about from all of you within the Virtuoso network and across our industry. The future of moats and barriers to entry. This is a topic I spend a lot of time with in finance VC circles, but I want to speak about a bit with all of us. And of course, I want to bring back a theme we've spoken about a lot in the past, but neglected the last few years, the horizontalization of travel and lifestyle. Of course, each of these themes has many elements within that I'm paying close attention to. Within Agentic AI, I'm particularly focused on agentic commerce and the connected trip. Within the realm of emerging innovation models, I'm paying a lot of attention to the build versus buy versus configure versus vibe code options. Within future of moats, spending a lot of time thinking about human connection and trust and the golden era of small and medium business. And of course, in the horizontalization arena, paying close attention to all the banks and clubs and other companies that continue to enter our space. All right, so let's dive in. First off, Agentic AI. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the history or specific capabilities or all these important things that you should know about the Great Commoditization of AI and how we got to this era of Agentic AI. And for more on all of that, please feel free to watch last year's keynote or to read some of my essays about this topic. It really will give you a strong foundation to build on top of at this year's summit. As I'm sure you know by now, there are three categories of artificial intelligence we need to pay attention to, and we need to think about separately, both practically and philosophically. We have AI, artificial intelligence, which is a set of tools and capabilities, including Gen AI, computer vision, etc. These are available and ready for prime time right now. Your business should already have adopted them, and if you haven't, today is the best day to start. Second, we have AGI, artificial general intelligence. This is where all the agents come from and what a lot of people have been talking about for the last few years as the next iteration of AI. This is an era that we're probably near, but not fully in yet. But this is really talking about an era of AI where we deploy agents, millions and eventually billions, all around the web to help us and support our businesses and our lives. And of course, the last one is artificial superintelligence, which is a far state of AI where AI knows more about everything than basically all of us. And for now, I want to keep that in the cocktail party arena. The other thing I want to make sure to say is that AI is two things at once. Artificial intelligence is both a set of tools used by people to accomplish their goals, as well as a set of actors that can act independently within our world. Today, largely on the web, but eventually through robots and other physical AI will be actors in the real world all around us. Now, as I referenced earlier, we're right now at a time of great shift. We are shifting from the generative AI era, where we spent the last few years, to the agentic era of AI. As I'm sure you've heard me say before, agentic is just a fancy word for agent. So the agentic era is simply an era with many, many AI agents or bots deployed across the web and eventually in the physical world to help us accomplish our goals and our tasks. So remember, we're going from an AI that can write and communicate to an AI that can act on our behalf. As we all know, times of great change require all of us to update our thinking and to deploy new mental models, new shortcuts to thinking, to help us be efficient and effective in this new world we're living and operating within. A few mental models I think you should consider for your own business. First is your business is no longer limited by how many engineers or people you can hire. Your ability to hire high price and high value engineers from Google or PhDs from Stanford is no longer a barrier for your ability to create and deploy high quality technology within your business. Further, your ability to hire concierges and assistants is also no longer a barrier to your ability to create magical experiences for your guests in the real world. Next is agents have evolved from data collectors to digital actors to real world actors and collaborators. Most of the agents out there today are collecting data on your behalf or maybe doing research. But we're beginning to enter this agentic era where many of us have begun to deploy agents to write emails, to do customer service, to book flights for us, and so many other actions that can be taken on the web. But very soon, these agents and their robots will begin to act in the real world as assistants, as partners, and as collaborators, enabling an entire new universe of options that was never available to us before at scale. And lastly, perhaps the most important to me, is personalization at scale is now realistic. We should all be building for an N of one, treating every customer like they're our only customer, and treating them in a way that we'd be honored to be able to treat our best customers today. And now we can further that to every one of our guests, in every one of our rooms, and every one of our ships. That's a future I think we can all be incredibly excited about. Now, again, there is so much more to say about Agentic AI, and if you want to learn a lot more, here's a QR code to do that. The connected trip is a concept I've been thinking and writing about since 2012. And at our very first tech summit in 2021, I defined it like this. The connected trip is a future state of our industry where all elements of a trip are smart or connected, enabling data, preferences, and other information to be captured, stored, and shared so that an entire travel experience is optimized to its most personal state. Now, as you know, I'm an optimist, but even for me in 2018 and 19, I got a bit pessimistic about this concept. I kept saying we have all the technology we could ever need to build a connected trip infrastructure, but what we don't have is the business incentives. How do you get companies that are sometimes partners and sometimes competitors to cooperate to share data for the benefit of the traveler? And that sadly was harder to figure out than I expected it to be. But I have rediscovered my optimism due to Agentic AI. In the future, we will not rely on the generosity of one brand sharing information with their competitors, but rather we'll have AI infrastructure to do that for us. So for example, if I just booked that great stay at the Four Seasons in Lanai, all of a sudden my AI agent, my travel advisor's AI agent, and the concierge agent from the hotel can come together to select the right restaurant for me based on the advisor's knowledge, my preferences, and of course the wisdom of the hotel's concierge. And they can also bring in a weather bot, a sustainability bot, a traffic prediction bot to help make an optimal solution. And then when I move to the Rosewood on the Big Island, all of a sudden my agent and my advisor's agent can move over to powwow with those AI agents over there to create the best possible experience for me. We no longer need every single player in the value chain to agree to cooperate because the AI agents will solve this gap for us. This is a really exciting future that allows us to not just offer significantly higher levels of personalization and service to our guests, but also to ensure that operational efficiency is going at the highest possible level. Okay, so put these things together, the Holy Grail is near. An industry where every guest is treated as an N of one, as the most important guest in our hotel, on our ships, or to our agency. When we combine AI with data, with real-world connectivity, and most of all, the human touch and human connection, we have a future that creates win-win-win outcomes. Better trips for travelers, deeper human connection for all of us, greater margin for those of us selling travel products, and enhanced efficiency for those delivering those services. It's something that I'm personally incredibly excited about. Our next theme is emerging models of innovation. And this whole emergence is coming because of the great commoditization of AI and the agentic era that's emerging right now. These fundamental shifts coming from the great commoditization of AI are altering the build versus buy versus license decision that so many of us have spent the last couple decades thinking through. Specifically, no code or vibe coding is creating the ability to deploy high quality software without writing a single line of code. AI employees mean that we can augment and staff up our technical and non-technical teams with assistants and coders and others coming from the AI employee side of the house. The cost to build is dropping dramatically, whereas the time to value is increasing dramatically, meaning that the time from a great idea to something that can be launched and operationalized is shorter than ever. And this massive operational productivity is improving both our bottom line and our ability to focus on the human connection and on the service, which is at the core of what so many of us do. All of these together lead to an era of limitless innovation through a whole bunch of different models of innovation emerging throughout our network and our industry. These models come in all different shapes and sizes. By no means are these for the entire universe of the emerging models of innovation. And we will see all four of these and many others represented on stage at our summit. We have the advanced in-house builders, large sophisticated technical teams using AI in-house to develop. We have the nimble in-house builders combining third-party, outsource, and vibe coding to build sophisticated solutions together. We have the tech stack configurers, businesses that are bringing together all these different players from across the ecosystem and configuring custom solutions made up of all the various tech partners and tech players in our ecosystem. And of course, the individual vibe coders building their own solutions in-house without writing a single line of code. This is something we can all be incredibly excited about, and every one of our businesses can now become a true technology innovator like never before. And Virtuoso is supporting all these models of innovation in many different ways. And I can't wait for the Virtuoso team to share some of the things they've been working on with all of you from the stage at our summit. The next macro theme I'm paying attention to is the changing nature of moats and barriers to entry. As I shared earlier, I'm often invited to speak in finance circles for VCs, PEs, and other types of investors. And the number one question I'm asked about is how artificial intelligence and the Great Commoditization is shifting moats and barriers to entry, which are such an important consideration when investing in a business. From my vantage point, there seem to be moats, barriers to entry that are waning in power and losing their effectiveness, some moats that are gaining power, and some moats that I think will be evergreen and will protect our businesses for decades and probably centuries to come. First, beginning with the waning power, those moats are less important and less powerful than they were in the past. That includes things like the size of your engineering team, the size of your database, the amount of historical technology or legacy code you have in the ecosystem. These types of things were seen as advantages in the past and may actually become disadvantages in the future. On the upside, we have those moats gaining power and dominance. They include access to deep contextual data about your customers and travelers. It used to be enough to know a customer's age, gender, or maybe their zip code. That is not even close to enough in this new era. To offer the type of personalization and the type of service that consumers expect today, one needs access to deep contextual data about our preferences, our desires, and how those fit together in the real world. Next is speed and agility. I recently hosted a happy hour here at my house for a bunch of venture capital investors, and I asked them which moats they were most confident would be valuable and protective for their companies in the future. And almost all of them talked about speed and agility of the founders and of the companies themselves. In an era of changing landscape, business models, and technology, a company's ability to adopt quickly is going to be a real advantage into the future. And last is executable and scalable creativity. As AI supports more optimization and more operations, it is that creativity that will allow one business to stand out against the other. And it's the ability to execute and to scale that creativity, which will be a moat that protects you for decades to come. And finally, we have what I think of as evergreen master moats. Those moats that not only will always be protective of our businesses, but will continue to grow in dominance as AI takes over more of that world. And those are, of course, trust and a human connection. As we all know, those are things that no technology will ever be able to replace. These shifts combined are leading to what I call the golden era of small and medium business. For much of the last 100 years, big business had enormous advantages that small business simply could not overcome. Their ability to build systems for efficiency and scalability, their ability to hire highly educated, high caliber employees, and all sorts of advantages that were enjoyed by the largest businesses in our economy. Well, today, as we just spoke about, many of those advantages enjoyed by big businesses are waning and losing their dominance, whereas many of the advantages enjoyed by small businesses are becoming more important than ever. Personal relationships, human connection, trust, local access. These types of things that make a small business incredibly successful will be more valuable in the future, not less. And of course, we're an industry largely made up of small and medium businesses, which makes me incredibly excited for the decades to come. And our final theme for 2026 is horizontalization of travel and lifestyle. This theme goes back years, and while I don't talk about it as often anymore, it is still expanding rapidly. In our modern world of social media, ubiquitous photos, and humble brags, so much of luxury is about a feeling and a story. It's not about high-end leather or plush mattresses, but about the feelings your hotel provides me and the stories I tell myself and the stories others tell about me when I'm basking in the glow of your brand. Remember, it used to be that high-end watches kept better time than cheap watches, and it used to be that Louis Vuitton luggage lasted longer than other kinds of luggage. But needless to say, today, no one is buying a Patek Philippe watch because they want a more precise time check. They're buying it for the stories and the feelings that it gives them, which of course are zero marginal cost goods. This theory started with the observation that the lifestyleification and cross-category growth of luxury brands seemed different than in the past. It used to be that luxury brands expanded from luxury handbags to wallets to suitcases, natural adjacencies. But today, brands are no longer thinking about their growth in terms of product categories or natural adjacencies, but rather are focused of growing their zero marginal cost good, the most valuable good they have, which of course is the ever-expanding brand story. As luxury brands see the horizontalization, they see an opportunity to strengthen and deepen their connection with their core customers, to grab a much greater share of wallet from those existing fans, and to easily extend their brand into new categories of customers that previously were not able to engage their company. The horizontalization of travel and lifestyle takes many forms. It looks like luxury watch brands Jacob & Co. and Frank Mueller adding living to their mix of products by building luxury residences. It looks like trendy clubs like Equinox and others building hotels, starting clothing lines, and publishing books. It looks like Paris, where the top fashion houses are all opening hotels, restaurants, spas, and entering our business. And so many more examples exist. As luxury brands keep realizing this reality, they see the opportunity to both grab much greater share of wallet from existing fans, but also the ability to monetize a huge new set of customers who previously could not afford to stay at their hotel or to buy their products, but who would love to associate with their brands. And the examples continue to grow all over the world. This year, we have seen the horizontalization reach new heights, which is why I'm bringing this back up to you today. We've seen charities, both large and smalls, grocery stores, AI platforms, and all sorts of other players in the economy enter the travel and hospitality ecosystem by trying to make these offerings available to their guests to further their brand relationships. And of course, the banks and fintechs have not slowed down. What I call the travelization of finance back in 2020 continues to accelerate today, and we're excited to have our friends from Built join us on stage again this year at the summit. Okay, a few final notes and things that I've been sharing with leaders from across our industry and economy that I want to share with all of you as well. Dynamic interfaces generated by artificial intelligence is something that I'm incredibly excited about. User interfaces, itinerary format, and other visual communications used to be something we agonized over for months and always got it wrong, because the one size fits all fits no one at all. But AI is coming to help on this front as well. Imagine the four of us are going on a trip together. Today, our advisor or the hotel concierge would only create one master itinerary, and that itinerary would have to satisfy all of us. But in reality, if I'm the planner, I want to see a detailed itinerary view. If one of our friends is the navigator, she might want to see a map view. Our friend who is a dreamer may want to see a collage of photos and videos, and the intellectual may want a history lesson about the places we're visiting. It would be unreasonable to expect one advisor to put all of these together. By using a single source of truth, AI can support the advisor or the concierge in creating an itinerary for each of us based completely on our own preferences. This example can be extended to many other elements of business. As I like to share, I serve on many boards of directors. Before a board meeting, you typically get a pre-read package to help you prepare. But the CEO's office only creates one pre-read that's supposed to work for all of us. If I'm there as a founder entrepreneur, I might need a slightly different take on this information than a person who's there from a finance perspective, a marketing perspective, or a legal perspective. It would not be reasonable for a person to create all four of these, but of course the AI can do that in seconds. The next concept I want to briefly introduce is experiential search. This is something I've been asking for and dreaming of for over a decade, and I'm so excited it's finally here. Experiential search is a new type of search capability built around outcomes that someone wants to gain or the story they want to be able to tell. Not based on features or product attributes, but based on experiences and feelings. Let me show you what this looks like in the wild. Imagine you went to your favorite e-retailer to buy a new colored shirt. The questions they would ask you are probably what size you want and what color you would like. However, these are not actually the most helpful questions in finding the right shirt for you. It would be better for them to know, is this shirt for a hot date? Are you giving a speech at an important conference? Are you applying for a new job? Or are you going to vacation on the beach in Hawaii? These shirts might be the same size, but the type of shirt you want is very different because the experience and feeling you want is very different. Similarly, think about the last time you rented or bought a house. The first question was probably how many square feet do you want? But at least for me, I don't really know the answer to that question. But I do know if I'm looking for a spa-like escape, a place to host many dinner parties, a place to work out and be in touch with nature. These types of attributes are much more related to what I actually want and allow the person serving up recommendations and options to give me something much more relevant to what I want to do than just simply based on the features or attributes that people have searched for in the past. So remember, when you're empowering your travelers and your advisors to recommend your inventory, how can you power them with experiential search to find the right recommendations for them based on the experience they want to have, not on the attributes that people have used in the past? Next are AI swarms. The early ones are being constructed around us right now. Remember, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. Each swarm will be different for every person and company, reflecting your preferences, your goals, your risk tolerance, and your brand. Swarms are inherently collaborative and can be built slowly over time. So your time to begin to build a swarm that reflects your business is right now. Next is the distribution landscape. It is effectively impossible to predict how this whole thing is going to play out over the next 5 or 10 years. But there are a few things that I'm pretty confident will be valuable no matter how the distribution landscape shakes out. First, focus on increasing the depth of engagement with your travelers. It's not about page views, but it's really about the meaningful engagement you have with them. Second, and highly correlated, is focus on collecting contextual data. As I spoke about earlier, age and gender is not enough. Figure out what I'm dreaming about and how you can use that information to provide truly novel and unique experiences for me. Next is grow your share of wallet per traveler, not just the volume. I've spoken a lot about the fact that we can use AI to increase the share of wallet by adding more elements to the trip that both improve the traveler experience and increase our margin. Focus there. And lastly, shorten the cycle from idea to live production. Great ideas are all around us, from our team, from our partners, and from our clients. The time to value of those ideas has never been shorter. So find ways to quickly iterate and prototype so you can create valuable things faster than ever before. Next, this mental model I developed with a bunch of Virtuoso advisors to help each of us think practically about how we use AI within our own job and with our own role. And I invite you to do this yourself and to do this in your all-hands meetings with your team. Create one of these 2x2 charts. At the top, on the y-axis, are things I love and things I don't love about my job. And on the x-axis are things I'm good at and things I'm not good at. And begin to plot them. Go through and actually write in the specific things that you do in your job on a regular basis. And now the question of AI automation is easy. The stuff in the top right quadrant, the stuff you're both good at and you love, leave it alone. The stuff in the bottom left quadrant, the stuff you're both bad at and you dislike, that is the perfect place to deploy AI because you both have a personal incentive. You don't enjoy it, so you want to do less of it. And you have a business incentive. You're not good at it, so AI can hopefully lead to superior outcomes. This is a great way to begin to deploy AI in a way that is pro-human and pro-relationship. And finally, some advice for travel and hospitality executives and business owners. First, your job as a leader is to develop mental models, shortcuts to thinking, and to share those with your team. Do not become the bottleneck of innovation within your business. Enable each of your members of your team to innovate in a company and brand safe way by deploying mental models that allow them to do so. I have said and written a lot about this subject, and this is a really important one for you to pay attention to. Next, embrace the best of both philosophy. Every business will be a hybrid business, combining humans and AIs together. The question for you as a leader is, what does that look like for your company, your risk tolerance, and your brand? And lastly, don't forget to start small, but test quickly. Continue to iterate as you pick up the pace on a small project and allows you to pick up the pace on a medium and eventually on a very large project. This is how you go from crawling to walking to running with artificial intelligence. There are so many more lessons and so much more advice I want to share with all of you, and even more that we can learn from one another at the summit. So I can't wait to all be together very soon and to co-create the future of our beloved industry. In closing, remember 3 things. AI belongs on the board and executive team agenda. It is not an IT project. It's a recreation of how we create value and how we manage our organizations. In a time of endless change and innovation, never stop testing, learning, iterating, and collaborating. That is the only way to stay on top of things in this rapid changing era we're in. And finally, I am confident that all of us are in the right industry for this era we're entering into. The reason I remain so bullish about the travel, hospitality, and lifestyle sectors is that we're in the business of creating moments that cannot be replicated by algorithms or automated into oblivion. We are focused on creating experiences disconnected from economic productivity. The best companies in this space understand the difference. They aren't just focused on making travel faster or cheaper. They're obsessed with making travel more memorable, more meaningful, more personal, and most of all, more human. Thank you for everything you do for our industry and for our world. I can't wait to all be together and to continue to co-create our beloved industry. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you very soon.